Oh, yeah. I get it.
I think so. Yeah, that's kind of how I took it.
We're ready? Okay. You guys ready on the left there?
Right, exactly.
All right. All right. Here we go. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for October 4th, 2022. My name is Mark Clark, the mayor. I'll call the meeting in order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Spear.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Councilmember Mortensen.
Here.
Councilmember Providence.
Present.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have a proclamation this evening for National Planning Month for October 2022. So, declaring and recognizing October 2022 as National Planning Month in the city of Evans, Colorado. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. And whereas community planning commissioners, and the city staff planners can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work, live, and play. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be equally involved in making choices that determine the shared vision of their neighborhoods. And whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories. And whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institutes, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementations make to the quality of our neighborhoods and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of members of the city's planning commissions, citizen planners, and contributions made by professional community and regional planners who have contributed their time and experience to the improvement of the city of Evans, and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now, therefore, I, Mark Clark, Mayor of the City of Evans, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as Community Planning Month in the City of Evans in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Evans this 4th day of October 2022. And who am I? Can I have, oh, Ellen, and please come on up. Let me present this to you. Next item on the agenda, awards and recognitions. Accepting an award presented by the Colorado chapter of the American Planning Association to the City of Evans for integrating water conservation into the Community Master Plan and Land Use Code.
Ooh. Thank you, Mayor Clark and members of council. This agenda item follows nicely with the National Planning Month proclamation very well. I'm here to highlight an award that the City of Evans has received. Last week, Ann Bess Johnson attended the Colorado chapter of the American Planning Association's 2022 Colorado Planning Conference. There, the city was presented with a 2022 APA Colorado Merit Award in the category of Growing Water Smart. This award is for the integration of our municipal water efficiency plan and master plans. APA Colorado, the Sonoran Institute, and the Babbitt Center for Land and Water Policy feel that our integration demonstrates the value of coordinating plans to achieve community goals and strategies to achieve water conservation and efficiency. This award relies on the actions of many years of hard work by city staff members. Kaylin Myers and Rick Picard attended the Sonoran Institute Growing Water Smart workshop in 2019 and brought land and water use components to our municipal water efficiency plan, which was adopted in 2022. And Bess Johnson, along with other staff members, worked very hard to help bring you the 2022 Evans Community Master Plan, which contains many water conservation and land use components and aligns well with the goals of the municipal water efficiency plan. Staff is now working to carry out the activities of many of these plans to ensure an affordable and healthy future in Evans. Staff is doing work in metrics and data, water conservation programming, and land use code amendments, and much more. Congratulations to know that the city's efforts are worthy of such recognition. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say congratulations. That's fantastic. I appreciate everybody's hard work, yours especially, and educating and our citizens and getting that word out about water conservation and how important it is to conserve water. So well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I can't speak tonight. Yeah. So congratulations. It's fantastic. So.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address City Council on any item that's not on the agenda or a public hearing?
No one.
All right. Moving on. Approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there changes to the agenda this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to propose 2 changes to our agenda tonight. I would like to include under our consent agenda approval of the minutes of the September 20th special meeting. Copies were left on the dais for you, as well as also include an executive session. The language for that executive session would be to discuss matters subject to negotiation and to receive legal advice from the city regarding the timing and process for hiring a new city manager.
All right, great, thank you. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, consent agenda. Item number 3, approval of the September 20th, 2022 City Council meeting minutes. Item number 4, approval of the September 26th, 2022 City Council special meeting minutes. Item number 5, approval of the September 27th, 2022 City Council special meeting minutes.
And inclusion of the
And inclusion of the September 20th special City Council meeting.
And then include executive session.
An executive session for, yes.
we have to do that for them. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Old business, item number 6, public hearing, consideration of withdrawal of ordinance number 776-22 and ordinance number 777-22 regarding designation of an area or activity of state interest for water, reservoirs, and pipelines, and the development of regulations for such area or activities of state interest. And I will reopen the public hearing and hear from staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you recall, late last year, you had a work session that was focused on using 1041 powers or designating an area or activity of state interest for oil and gas purposes, and also the possibility of using that for water storage and pipelines as well. As you know, earlier this year, you did direct staff and approve 1041 powers for use with oil and gas facilities. However, staff has been working with our legal team on the possibility of 1041 powers for water and water storage and pipelines. At this point, we are asking that we withdraw those ordinances. They were noticed for approval this evening, but the consensus of staff and the legal team after a lot of consideration is that with the rewrite of the land use code, we can accomplish the same objectives without turning to the 1041 powers. And rather than over-regulating, our preference would be to come back to you with land use code changes as we get through the land use code that will do the same thing. So at this point, we are recommending withdrawal of those two ordinances, number 777 and number 776.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff on this item? All right, because this is a public hearing, I'd ask if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor or against this item. If so, please come forward to the podium. And none online. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion unless there's council discussion.
No sense in complicating things further.
Exactly.
I move to withdraw ordinance number 776-22 and 777-22 from consideration.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to withdraw ordinance number 776-22 and 777-22 from consideration. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving on, item number 7 under new business, consideration of award of bid for 2022 wastewater treatment plant lagoon biosolids removal and disposal. And we'll hear from staff.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is your annual biosolids removal contract. The procurement process was just done and selection of a vendor to take care of the disposing of the digested sludge as a result of the wastewater processing system. It's become very clear that there's a $350,000 to $400,000 amount of work to be done every year. Robbie and the wastewater team have done the procurement process and have selected a vendor. I'll let wastewater superintendent Robbie Porsche tell you a little bit more about that process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and council members. We posted an RFP for bid on August 10th. We had 2 responding bidders, one of which we have kind of worked before. Denali Water Solutions was the lower bidder. They were formerly Barris Environmental. They did the biosolids removal in 2019 and 2020 for us. Comfortable with their bid and their proposed means and methods. It works well for us. It worked well for us in 2020 and 2019. It gives us a fresh start in the treatment process because they haul a thick liquid, completely draining our pond. Because of that, we will have to wait till after the Evans ditch goes offline before they can start their work. But it gives us a brand new pond to work with instead of having a pond that's been dredged, leave all the water behind that carries a lot of ammonia and phosphorus. The bids were substantially higher than they were last year, but we've seen that across the board. This is about 20% higher than we contracted last year, 15% higher than their bid last year. But it is Denali Water Solutions was by far the more reasonable alternative, especially if you look at the full bid tabulation, and the other bidder wanted $114,000 for mobilization. But with that, I'd entertain any questions.
Any questions or comments for staff? Councilman Neal?
Well, Robbie, I hope it goes better than the last time.
I hope it does too. They're proposing, instead of bringing a mixing boat out, they're just going to run 2 of their tractor stick pumps, one in opposite corners, and just try to shoot the sludge over to the one that's actually pumping.
Sounds interesting. I was thinking more about having to replace the liner. But.
Any other additional questions or comments for staff?
None.
Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move to award the 2022 wastewater treatment plant lagoon biosolids removal and disposal project contract to Denali Water Solutions, LLC, and to authorize the mayor's signature on a contract in a not to exceed amount of $350,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to award the 2022 wastewater treatment plant lagoon biosolids removal and disposal project contract to Denali Water Solutions, LLC, and to authorize the mayor's signature on the contract not to exceed an amount of $350,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize, on the packet, that was number 7, and in the print, it's reversed, so.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Item number 8, consideration of a contract for economic development strategic planning services. We will hear from staff.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a contract that is to be funded from a $75,000 DOLA Rural Economic Development Initiative grant that the city was fortunate to gain with our Economic Development Director's prowess at grantsmanship earlier this year. It does have a $25,000 city match to go along with it that is in this year's budget. This is a contract to prepare an economic resiliency strategic plan following up on your community plan that has a very robust economic development chapter with a lot of elements in it. And so this will help us prioritize those, move forward in a very strategic way with those economic factors. And Allison Moding is here to tell you more about that process.
Thank you, Randy. We issued our RFP in July of this year. We received 5 proposals that were all very similar in price. But as we had an internal team that reviewed those proposals, there were 3 firms that we opted to interview, and after a very thorough process, we have selected Prosono, which is a firm out of Denver. They have a very unique approach of combining kind of more of a business focus, and I really felt like their outreach strategies were very strong, which I think is particularly for us is going to be an important piece of really making sure that we nail that outreach and that we talk to our very diverse group of stakeholders. So I think I'm excited to get started. They're ready to kick things off as soon as we get a contract signed, and really looking forward to, I think, building, as Randy mentioned, building off of the master plan and some really great opportunities and picking up where that leaves off. So I would entertain any questions and ask for your authorization to sign the contract.
Any questions or comments for staff? No? Seeing that, it looks straightforward to me. I'm definitely in favor of it, so I would entertain a motion.
I move to award the Economic Development Strategic Planning Contract to Prosono LLC in an amount not to exceed $89,200 with a contingency of $10,800.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to award the Economic Development Strategic Planning Contract to Prosono LLC in the amount not to exceed $89,200 with a contingency of $10,800. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item, item number 9, consideration of a continuance of an appeal of an administrative decision regarding the use of a structure for taxidermy on property located at 1010 36th Street. We will hear from staff.
Yes, Mayor and council members, a few weeks ago, staff received an application, land use application, that in part requested approval for a taxidermy studio on a property at that address on 36th Street, at 36th Street and St. Vrain. After thorough consultation with the legal team and staff, it was determined that a taxidermy studio was not allowed in that zone district. In fact, is not allowed in any zone district within the city. So the applicant submitted the appeal that's in your packet. However, with further discussion with the applicant, he is willing to move forward with the request for a continuance of his rights to have a public hearing before you, pending staff's presentation for your consideration, a code amendment that would allow taxidermy studios in certain zone districts. There's been no promises offered to this applicant. It is your decision on that land use, but this action this evening would postpone that action on the appeal until after you see and consider the proposed land use code amendment. So our request tonight is you move to appeal the applicant's request for continuance to a date of December 6, 2022. That allows us to return briefly with a little more information for you at the next work session, and then to prepare a code amendment if you direct us to do so in the month of November for your consideration.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments to staff?
Yes, I do. Reading the appeal letter, it seems like they have the impression that this has already been presented to city council. So I want to know exactly maybe what, maybe they've been told something that we've already been presented this.
Councilmember Spear, can you point out where you're seeing that? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Where in the letter are you referring to?
The appeal letter from the applicants?
Right. At what point?
Okay. It says in this letter, and is this the applicant or from Ann Bess Johnson? I don't know, but anyways, I guess I could probably look at the bottom, but it says the very first, the second sentence, we're asking that the council reconsider the decision and consider the interpretation on a case-by-case basis. So reconsider, has this gone before us before?
No.
So why would it be a reconsider then?
Is this council as in, but the way it's spelled, is that council as in like our legal counsel or us?
Yeah.
I think that's the
Staff council?
clarification.
So the way that I read that was that he is asking this body to reconsider the administrative decision staff made.
Wow.
So that would be a reconsideration of the staff decision, what we call an appeal.
Okay, so
And
reconsider
I
the
guess
staff.
The only other thing that I would mention is if you don't make the code amendment, then this will come back to you as an appeal hearing. And so I would discourage you from reading too much of the material, making any decisions on the merits of the appeal until it's in front of you, because it's going to be a quasi-judicial hearing. So.
Okay, so your recommendation came after we got this in the packet though. So we had no choice but to read this letter.
Right, so there's no problem with reading this letter, because if it comes in front of you, that will be part of the stuff that will be presented to you during the hearing. But I just don't want you to pre-decide the case in case it does get back in front of you for an actual hearing. So you've heard sort of both sides.
Okay, and then the other thing I would like to know, when you go into details, the staff goes into details of this, what the byproducts of the taxidermy, where that goes, if that goes into an incinerator, the trash, or what. So something to follow up with.
We have performed a lot of review and have contacted the National Taxidermists Association, have called other communities, and so that information will be presented at the work session.
So, Mr. Kropp, you are suggesting that we don't have any other discussion about it at this time until staff?
Yeah, my recommendation is that you not discuss the appeal anymore. But then when it comes in front of you to say you want to allow taxidermy in this particular district, then I think you should have a full, robust discussion of, well, what is taxidermy? What are the byproducts? What's really involved here? But it's, I would discourage you from having any further discussion at this time.
Okay. And when it does come before us, then we should consider it on the overall thought for the district, not on this a particular case.
Yeah, what will be presented to you as a code amendment is just the overall concept of taxidermy. Should it be allowed anywhere in the city? And if so, is this the appropriate zone district to do it in? Not with relation to any particular application for taxidermy use.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for staff? No. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the applicant's request for a continuance of the public hearing to consider the applicant's appeal of an administrative decision on December 6, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the applicant's request for continuance of the public hearing to consider the applicant's appeal of an administrative decision to December 6, 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, reports. City manager.
Yes, Mayor, council members, I'll be brief this evening. As you know, we're in the midst of, in the quiet week between two fall cleanup weekends. The first weekend was last weekend, and that will continue again on Saturday and Sunday of this weekend. It's always a very busy time in town, an opportunity to clean up that yard waste and other materials that are laying around as staff accepts those materials on Saturday and Sunday coming up this next week as well, this next weekend. The last phase of the pavement management plan of this year is underway. Will be done by the end of the week. That is the chip sealing that's going on in a couple different neighborhoods. And if you haven't been by Prairie View Park or Vineyard Park, they have been, all of the old equipment has been removed. They're in the process of installing the new playground equipment. So we're excited about those. And then as soon as they're done with that, of course, they'll move on to Pioneer and Ridge Park. And then lastly, the 37th Street right-of-way is under construction from Harbor to Mountain View. That is coming along really well. And hopefully it's a project we all can be proud of with that river theme that's running through it. It's kind of exciting to see that happen. So thank you.
Great, thank you. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. Usually I report on something that's already happened, but tonight I'm going to ask you to give some thought to something that I anticipate coming to you in the future. Title 15 of your code is the building codes. And you have a plumbing code, an electrical code, an international building code, energy conservation code. And within those codes, there's an appeal process. So if somebody's permit is denied under any one of those, then they get appealed to someone. In some of those code sections, it gets appealed to a board that is made up of people in that industry, such as plumbers. In other sections, it gets appealed to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is your planning commission. And then in other sections, it gets appealed to you. So we anticipate bringing you an ordinance that makes that more uniform. And so I just want you to give some thought to, do you want to hear those appeals? Do you want the BZA Planning Commission to hear those? Or do you want to appoint an appeal body for each of those professions to hear those? And then either at a work session or if there's a consensus and people have strong feelings about it, let us know, because we'll bring the ordinance forward. And if we've got the wrong body on there, you can tell us which body you'd rather have hear those appeals. And that's all I've got.
Great, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address council on any item?
No, Mayor.
No. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for an executive session, and then after that, we'll go into our GRA meeting.
I move to go into executive session to discuss matters subject to negotiation and to direct negotiators in connection with the city council's consideration of cable franchise agreements within the city, and to discuss matters subject to negotiation and to receive legal advice from the city regarding the timing and process for hiring a new city manager pursuant to CRS section 24-6-402, subsection 4B and E.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes, and we are in executive session. Thank you. All right.